What is up, everyone? Welcome to episode, 26, 27
27.
of the Sports R Plus with Miller and Watson. Amateurism is dead. So welcome to the show. Sorry about my voice. I've been a little bit sick the last couple of days, but we are going to power through on this Memorial Day weekend. We hope everybody has a happy, safe, fun Memorial Day weekend. Go outside, hang with the family, grill some burgers and dogs, hang by the pool. It's officially summer. So now that it is officially summer, we do have a few corrections that we need to make. So give us a follow on our social media handles on X/Twitter. And that way we can correct stuff a little bit quicker. But Kylan, I'll let you take this over.
Yes, so I'm going to chalk this up to tiredness, but yes, correcting the record as two journalists, we have to correct the record when we get it wrong, and so I got it wrong twice yesterday. I'm going to chalk it up to tiredness, but also I should know better. Let's start with the big one. A sorry slash too early. They aren't them to the MLB. I had it wrong last week, thinking that the Phillies and the Mets would play each other in London last weekend, and not until June 8th and 9th. So I will apologize to the MLB and the schedule makers on that. You did give them both not enough time, but it wasn't last weekend. It's going to be June 5th. So I will apologize to you guys for that, and to the baseball fans who are jumping on me afterwards, texting me about it. I apologize for getting that wrong. The other one, I got it wrong on the lacrosse thing. It was the men's lacrosse that's going to be here this weekend, and not the women. They are in Cary, North Carolina. So I apologize to the state of North Carolina, who gets enough college sports events, but I messed up on that one. I know that you guys are doing that wink, wink to keep UNC in the ACC, but I apologize to that one as well. So that is correcting the record, which you will only see when either one of us gets something wrong and we don't correct it soon enough. So I apologize for that, and hopefully we won't be doing too many of these segments. But look forward to this if either one of us gets anything wrong.
Yep. All right, sounds good. So we're moving on to, the Indiana Fever beat the LA Sparks. Caitlin Clark gets her win.
Congrats to the Fever for finally getting the monkey off their back and finally winning one.
First one of the season, so that's huge for Caitlin, for the Sparks, or for the Fever. There was a lot of things being said, I guess you could say, before the game. And I know Kylan has some strong opinions on that, so I will let him start talking a little bit about that.
Yeah, so on this game, right, congrats to, the Fever for winning. Obviously, you had the battle of the rookies between Cameron Brink and Caitlin Clark. Cam got the better of this one, scoring about 17 points, whereas Caitlin had, I guess, one of her first or maybe second double, 11 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists. So almost had a triple double. So congrats to her. Unfortunately, though, because of the trees that are the LA Sparks, they're tall and lengthiness. She only went 4-14 from the field. So, these are things that are to be expected as, you go through your rookie season. We talked about this last week, hitting the rookie wall. We have a lot of new WNBA fans who think that, everybody was going to be like what happened during the college basketball season all 4 years, that she just run
could
amok.
Take over the game, and which isn't true, because there are some unbelievable players. A few games ago you heard, I don't know if you saw the crazy the block, not block, the pick from Stewie, and they were saying, oh, that's her WNBA moment, and they asked Stewie, what was your WNBA moment? And she said in her first season, she went out against some team and they were expected to win and they lost by like 30 points. And she said, she started laughing and said, sorry that I was the one to give you your WNBA moment, but your teammates should have called that out for you. So,
Yeah, I mean, so there's been a lot of this, obviously now that Caitlin and them have the monkey off their back, now with finally winning one game. I don't think any of us expected them to like be good this year. Well, I mean, we expected them to be somewhat good, but I don't know if we expected playoffs. So obviously the Fevers, Aaliyah Boston kind of went through this last year, right? You can be as good as you want to be, but it's a team game. If your team isn't really good around you, then you're going to end up with a top 5, top 10 pick. That's probably where the Fever are going to be again next year. And maybe they'll get Paige Beckers. Wouldn't that be funny? So there's a lot going on with the Fever. Caitlin isn't doing what most people expected her to do. Obviously, this happens a lot. Patrick Mahomes didn't come in and immediately dominate the league. Neither did Steph Curry. Neither did Dwayne Wade. Neither did LeBron James. Neither did Michael Jordan. Neither did Kobe. Neither did Wayne Gretzky. Like, name a great. They did not come in doing gangbusters their first few games of their rookie year. And good for the Fever finally getting that win. And as the schedule kind of eases up, maybe they can string some wins together, get people interested again. But Morgan kind of alluded to it, so let's get to it. This Caitlin Clark dialogue, it has definitely gotten out of hand, guys. A shame to all of you that have been out here, especially I'm assuming that these are Caitlin Clark fans, who have been harassing Aaliyah Boston, on Twitter. So much so that she has to block. She had to get rid of her social media, like so she could focus on the game. Y'all were affecting her mental health. This is a woman that's won what it was it 2 championships in South Carolina. Like a woman that's very hard to like get mentally off her case. And y'all did one of the sweetest people in basketball. Y'all done made her delete her social media because you mad because your favorite can't win more games. like you brought up Breanna Stewart. Sue Bird even talked about this when she first got in the league. Diana Taurasi, I think, also talked about this. Coming from those dominant UConn teams, they had to get used to losing. This happens. It's not college basketball where you can just dominate a team, in 2 minute quarters. So it doesn't work like that. You play like I said, I think last week, instead of playing 3 times a week, you play 5 days a week. You don't get them breaks like you get in college. It doesn't work like that. And so for y'all to like do that, this is definitely getting out of hand on my as far as my opinion, because y'all are doing too much for Caitlin Clark. Like, she don't want y'all doing all that. She won't tell you that. she don't want y'all doing all that, isolating her from her teammates, making her feel like she's the god of Indiana basketball right now. Like, she is, but she ain't there yet. So like, please, 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 y'all. Leave her and her teammates alone. Stop harassing them on social media.
Yeah,
Every
it's
win and loss. Like,
it's not helpful for anyone. You know, it's you have to understand how good the WNBA is, and we've talked about this before, but in comparison to other leagues, there's so many less teams. So there are so many, every single person is on a WNBA roster is the best of the best of the best. So there is no you know, you think for a split second and you're not confident for a split second and someone's on top of you. That's just how it works in the W. And she'll learn, and everyone learns. And again, she's a rookie playing against people that have been playing for a decade plus. So she'll get there, and the more pressure you put on her, the harder it's going to be for her to overcome that.
right, and let me just say, because I've got to save some of this for y'all favorite segment. He's not him, she's not her, and they aren't them. Let me just say that those of y'all who are insinuating, whether you're a basketball, an NBA fan, or a basketball fan in general, you're insinuating that these players, because she's going to bring in the eyes and the money, need to let her win. You're being ridiculous. Most of y'all didn't even let your daughters win on the basketball court or against y'all. So like, what are you talking about? Let the girl build the confidence. Let her build her career. Everybody struggles when they get in the league and they're a phenom in college, high school, or whatever. Let her progress normally, as Morgan
Yeah.
said. Stop harassing her teammates. Stop harassing the coaches. Like, I get it. She has a cult following because she went to Iowa. So like, leave it alone. We understand, but leave it alone. She's up against better people, and stop with this whole let her win thing.
Yep.
All right. So
All
moving
right, we're
right
gonna move
along.
on. Yeah, we're gonna move right along to the House with the NCAA. So the Big Five conferences approved the settlement. The smaller conferences are not as happy. They have to fund the majority of the settlement. I
Yeah,
mean,
what's your reaction to this? Because it's
I don't.
the biggest small conference that's upset about this is yours, the Big East,
I know.
the basketball powerhouse that is the Big East.
Yeah, I understand it. They don't have as much money as the bigger schools do. I don't really understand it, to be honest with you. There's a lot of legalities that I don't really get. I can see both sides of it. I understand why it was approved, and I also understand why the smaller conferences are mad about it.
Yeah, I think that. Oh, were you done?
No, yeah, I'm done.
Okay, so honestly, I think the Big East specifically has a right to be mad. I think all the small conferences have a right to be mad because the majority of these players are from the bigger schools. They didn't get there. I think the majority of them are football players. They didn't get their money, and the Big East and most of these conferences, Big Sky, WAC, they're not football powerhouses. They don't make the majority of their money off of football. The majority of their money is basketball, and that $7 billion is really like the Yukon pie, the Villanova pie, the Marquette pie, like all the schools that make it to the Final Four and championships consistently have a right to be upset that they got to pay 60% of that when most of that could go to their basketball teams, so they have a right to be upset about this because it should be the SEC, the Big Ten, specifically those two conferences who have way too much money as it is, paying the majority of this. And then to a lesser extent, the ACC, the Big 12, and the Pac 12. Like they have a right to be upset about this. They should be mad. Like I think somebody, one of the smaller conference AD said this is 10% of my budget that's not going to basketball, to lacrosse, to track, like things that I actually make money off of. Instead, is going to football players from the Big Ten and SEC, and they have totally a right to be mad. And I am for them. I think it's kind
Do
of.
you do you know? And I could be wrong about this. So, like the Big East, like they don't have football. Big East doesn't have football. So, are the schools who don't have a football team are they still required to pay that?
Yeah, everybody's paying. So the smaller conferences are paying. This is why they're mad. 60% of it, and then the Big Five are only paying 40% of it. So this is why they're mad. So they're all upset because they gotta pay
That's so
60%.
dumb.
60% of what's the final total? $3 billion. sixty
Yeah.
percent of that is coming from the Big East, the WAC, all the small
Why would
conferences.
they not have switched it? What is the point of that?
Charlie Baker.
That's
You know, you
that
know
is
that
really
and
dumb.
that is why they're mad. When you hear that 60-40 split, you can understand why they're mad. Like,
Yeah.
why are they paying that? When it's the Big Five and Notre Dame's problem. And I love the audacity of specifically Notre Dame's president and all the other Big Five conferences to be like, well, basically, this is the death of college sports and all that. Well, I'm all like, it was y'all hubris that made this happen. So I don't
Yeah.
understand what you're talking about. Like, I get it. Y'all don't want to pay the money, but it's not right that the Big East, again, probably the biggest outside the ACC, the biggest basketball powerhouse of the conference
Well, yeah. At
has
least
to
the
pay this
ACC
money.
has football, though. At least the ACC does have football teams. The Big East does not have. They don't have football teams.
Well, they have football. Like UConn has a football team.
But
Obviously,
they're independent.
oh, okay, yeah.
They're
So
the
I
only
think
Big East school that has a football team.
no, Villanova has one. It's just not D1. I think it's D1 AA. Brian Westbrook
Hmm.
went there, so they have football. It's just not. I think Georgetown's football is just not good. I know
I don't think
Marquette.
Georgia has a football team.
Oh, they do.
Do they?
They do.
And
It's
so
just
are they FCS then?
no. They play in the what's the conference Colgate plays in? They play in that the Patriot League or whatever it's
Mm.
called. They play in Colgate's conference in football, but the Big East and everything else, I believe.
Hmm.
So
It's weird.
there are Big East teams that have football. They're just not, like I said, they might not be D1.
Well,
They
we will
seem
keep an eye on this because this seems stupid, and there has to be a better way to do this. So we will keep you guys updated on this as it continues. And
right. So to keep it moving. Like, will the NCAA go on the NFL route? Now, for those of you that don't know, you're not inside baseball. The NFL, we're not going to get to this, but the NFL route is like what's going on currently with John Gruden in his lawsuit. The NFL tries to keep everything out of court because they don't want to go through discovery because discovery would be upsetting. This is what they did with Colin Kaepernick when he sued. They try to keep everything out of discovery, right? And so this is what the NCAA did by settling this and making sure that it stayed out of court because they didn't want to go through discovery. So with the NCAA going the NFL route to avoid court by settling work, what do you think, Morgan?
I mean, money talks, so probably, I mean, I, I, what do you think? I mean, I would always say, yes, money talks. I think that, I don't know if it's the best practice, but I think that money does talk.
Well, I think eventually, especially with the NCAA, the dam will burst. I mean, they've already lost these court cases with the Supreme Court and everything else. And it seems like there's a big one, which we're going to get to, that they're probably keeping their eye on with Jaden Rashida and what's going on there with Florida. But I just think that, they're it's going like unlike the NFL, they don't have like there is no players association right now in college sports. There will be, but there isn't one yet, and no players association is going to be as weak as the NFL's. So like I just think that eventually the dam will burst here. It's already bursting. The fentanyl thing, which is what a lot of these conferences were voting for to combine all these things. The California court said that can proceed. So they're going to go through discovery with that, probably find out some things. It's going to make the NCAA look bad. But yeah, eventually they'll get there. And I just think they're going to eventually get sued. I don't think, to hit the next question, that this is going to save them from future litigation
No.
because it's the
There's
NCAA.
too many different things going on right now, too many different lawsuits that could come out of this that it's not going to save them from something down the line.
Yeah, so they want to be saved, but I don't think no matter how crazy the Supreme Court is in any court, like I don't think they'll be able to be saved from litigation, because I just think there's too many factors here, like you said, and it's just gonna eventually the dam will burst. Maybe not for the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, or NHL, but the dam's gonna burst on the NCAA.
Yeah.
You got anything else to add on that one?
Nope.
All right, so the other big one in college sports, Jaden Rashida, the now I think backup quarterback of the Georgia Bulldogs, is currently suing Florida, their coach Billy Napier, and basically I think the NIL collective as well, of the University of Florida, because they didn't give him the money that they promised him. I think it was about just under $1.5 million to come there in NIL money. So no, we didn't. Let me just hit this as part of the lawsuit. So those that don't know, we talked about this last week. There's going to be direct. I wouldn't say direct payments, but now players are going to get a cut of it. We don't know what the percentage of the money is. Obviously, that the settlement from House versus NCAA, I think, is 3 years away. So from being instituted, so they're going to have to wait a little while before we see this money for these players. But the players are already getting their money. Football, basketball, gymnastics players, all the other players are getting their money. So this you're gonna probably see more of these like lawsuits. Jaden Rashida. My reaction to this is get your money. I have talked about Morgan and I have talked about this before that I think recruitment is one big lie fest anyway. I've said that before. She won't say it. I will. It's one big lie fest anyway. I'm gonna take care of your kid unless I get my dream job to go coach at Alabama, Texas, or somewhere else. I'm going to take care of your kid, right? So,
what I'm assuming, and again, I really don't know much about this, but I'm assuming that he is going to lose this. And why I'm assuming he's going to lose this is I'm sure that there was something written in a contract about something that they knew that if he transferred, if he got a C on a paper, didn't play enough minutes, X, Y, and Z, they weren't required to pay him. And because he's an 18-year-old kid, probably didn't have the greatest lawyer looking it over and probably missed something. And again, this is all speculation. That is all speculation. I have no idea. But that would be my assumption, is that these big schools are taking advantage of kids and having them sign things in ways that they don't understand. Again, I could be totally wrong on that. He could win, he could get his money. I hope he does, but that would just be my gut feeling, I guess, is that something like that is going on.
I mean, it's Florida, so Florida is where legal common sense goes to die. So we'll see, we'll see what happens here. My prediction is he'll probably win, just because people lie all the time in recruitment. He's probably got an email or text of Billy Napier or somebody representing Florida's NIL collective having a text saying they'll give him all of this, and it's binding. He probably has it in writing or some text that'll make them look stupid. So I imagine that Florida will settle, that they will not want to go through discovery.
Well, that's also I would say that yes. I either say yes. There's a who knows. The whole NIL system is still so new that it's a little bit crazy all over the place. But I hope the kid gets his money. I hope he does. I always am rooting for the athlete over the schools.
Yeah, and
And
this is the back of the Georgia. So I guess I think they said Kirby Smart said, "Do what you got to do." So this
yes.
does add a little spice to that Georgia Florida football game as well for this year. But moving right along. So Amore, I'm gonna let you take this one first. Will this new lawsuit set the stage for more recruitment NIL package lawsuits?
So I don't know. What I think is that all this NIL stuff is going to have to start being done a little bit more like above ground with legal papers and stuff like that to stop any kind of lawsuits, and kind of protect both sides of it, protect the athletes and the schools. Because right now I feel like it's just kind of money being thrown around willy nilly, if that makes sense. So I'm assuming that either way, this is going to have some kind of impact on the NIL system, and more likely than not, it'll be that they will do some kind of contract situation, and the school has a copy of it, and the players have a copy of it, and that kind of stuff, which makes the most sense anyway. What they should have been doing already, but that's probably that's my guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that I think that I kind of agree and disagree with you. I think that it will be more above ground now, especially now that they have to have collectives and now that there's revenue sharing. It's got to be above board now instead of just to deal with like the Florida Gators, alumni association or whatever it is, or a booster or whatever. So I think that it has to be done more above ground. But I think because like recruitment is one, like I said, and it kind of leads into the next question. Recruitment is one big live fest anyway. Like neither one of us got to that level where we got recruited to go play college sports, but like we know I've got cousins that have played in college, friends that have played in college. They tell me all the time that like these people would sit there and lie to them, saying that they would play right away, or some lie above this level that they would be real big contributors, and they're on the bench or doing whatever until such a time as they get used. So, people lie again. These colleges, they say whatever they need to say to get you to sign on the dotted line to come to them, and come play with them, and no one ever says, hey, it's going to take a year. Truthfully, somebody should say this, but probably I'm not going to make too much of a blanket statement. More than likely, no coach is there saying it's going to take 2 years for you to play. Like, no one's saying that, because they would lose that player as soon as they said it. So, like, I think that this should be done more above board. But now that the NCAA can legislate it, we know this from the Tennessee thing from last year. They will not, schools are going to do what they want to do, and that's where both of these things get. That's where it gets them in trouble. And I expect more lawsuits because, like I said, college recruitment is like politics. It's one big lie fest. So it is. They lie to you all the time. Like, so if you're going through this, you're a parent or something, you listen to this podcast, maybe you're related to one of us, maybe you're not, maybe you're just randomly scrolling YouTube on a Saturday morning and you found this podcast, and you might be going through recruitment, or somebody going through recruitment. Look, it's one big live fest. Future sports reporter, I can say this: it is one big lie fest. They lie to you all the time. They do these the most honest coaches lie to you all the time. You want to really know if somebody's lying. Ask them, look, are you going to stay? Like no coach is going to say no, yes or no to that question, right? Like some of them might say no, but what they really mean is for the moment, right? Everything is for the moment to the minute, up to the minute. So like they lie to these kids all the time, and so I'm all for like it's going to be done more above board, but I'm all for these players suing these schools for lying to them and ultimately leading to them transferring to another school that would give them what they wanted. So I'm all for it. So the next one is recruitment becoming the new free agency in college sports. Is college sports becoming the NBA when it comes to free agent to recruitment? Yes, yes. It's one big live fest, especially in football, right? That's why.
Well, you hear about these stories about the recruiting trips and this and that, and even like some of my coworkers that played in the league back in the NFL back in the day, and they talk about their recruiting trips, and this was before NIL, before you were allowed to pay any kind of money, and they talk about how crazy those recruiting trips were. I can only imagine what they're doing now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we saw this with the kid. I don't want to call him the kid with Raiola, right? Going from, we're talking about Georgia, going from Georgia to Nebraska because I guess Jaden Rashida was coming in and maybe he was supposed to be the backup and it didn't work out this upcoming year. So he went to Nebraska. I think he said it was because playing time, right? That's the power that they have now, money and playing time. You can these NIL, especially playing for Nebraska, who hasn't been good since like 1995, you can get some playing time at Nebraska that you probably wouldn't get at Georgia, right? And you're in the Big Ten, you're going to play these schools, so you're going to get that chance. I mean, this is stuff that you don't really get in college sports. This is why I say I'm more than happy. Player empowerment all the way. I'm glad NIL and revenue sharing is coming out now. So now, like I said, these coaches that would leave, they get these kids to come to Morgan's alma mater now. James Madison, they get you to come there for football, and then the coach leaves for Washington or wherever they go. Like you get the chance to like leave with the coach. Before that wasn't the case. They had to approve where you want to go and especially in the SEC. Like I'm all for these players having the same freedom I did when I was in school to either stay there 4 years or leave, like to either stay at the grad school for however long I wanted to or not. Grade, obviously grades depending, as Morgan knows, just get to leave grad school. It's just like, I'm all for it. And I just think, yeah, recruitment is becoming the new free agency, especially with, as Morgan talked about, these trips that these old players are taking. We could just only imagine now that it's legal. They're probably taking them to Hawaii, Fiji, Europe. They're probably like, where you want to go? Here, sign on the dotted line. Like, they're probably doing a lot of stuff. So go ahead, Morgan. You got anything to add?
No, I think you kind of hit it all.
All
Yeah.
right. So then we have the return of Morgan's segment. Morgan does hockey. Praise
Woo!
fan.
So the last time, oh sorry, I just wooed and now my dog is like all on edge. Yeah, he's excited. You want to come up? You want to do hockey with me? Come here. You want to do hockey with me, Michael? It's like no, I don't. So hockey. It's been a crazy. It's been a really fun Stanley Cup playoffs, and we are now down to the final four teams, which is exciting and fun. And if you don't know, it's the New York Rangers versus the Atlanta Panthers in the Eastern Conference, and the Western Conference is the Dallas Stars versus the Edmonton Oilers. And it's going to be fun. We talked about this kind of when the Rangers hit that milestone a while back. The Rangers are so good. They are the dominant team right now, and I think most people expect them to win. And they're probably who I would like to win. It's always fun when a New York team is doing good things. They won 4-0 against my beloved Capitals. We went 4-2 against the Hurricanes. They're pretty dominant right now, and I pulled up their schedule. So for the first the first series, Eastern Conference is tied at 1-1 right now. So the next game is it is today the 26th. It's tomorrow. So the next game is tomorrow at 3, and then they have one on Monday at 8. They have one on game 6 will be, if needed, is June 1st, and then game 7, if needed, is June 3rd. And then in the Western Conference, the Edmonton leads 1-0. And again, like, how fun would a Canada New York finals be? It's been a really long time for Canada. It's been a while for New York. Two really, really, obviously Canada hockey is everything there. And the Rangers mean a lot to the city of New York, and New York has been without a championship in over a decade in any sport, which is like crazy, and one of the longest that a sports powerhouse. They have 2 teams in almost every sport, and they have yet to win. They're at least, I think when was the last time a New York team won a championship?
You trying to hurt me? 09.
Oh, nine. Yeah, so it's been 15 years since any team in New York has won a championship. So,
and we
it's
want
been a
to keep
while.
it that way.
So, my if I could pick what I would want my final to be, it would be New York versus Edmonton. But the other teams are good, so I'm excited about it. The other thing is that the Rangers won the President's Cup, which is the team that has the most wins and points in the regular season. And there's kind of been a thing forever that the team that wins the President's Cup doesn't make it to the finals, doesn't win. The Capitals won the President's Cup like every year for forever and didn't win. And then the year that they won, they did not win the President's Cup. So I'm kind of trying to break that curse. So it's an exciting time. Keep an eye on it because it's fun. And again, if we could get a New York Canada finals, I think that would make everybody in hockey salivate a little bit.
Yeah. I have no opinion on this other than go any team that's facing New York. So I I have a very very long tradition of hating New York teams. It doesn't even matter that I don't even really care about
You're
hockey
like, I don't watch the sport, but I still hate them.
so so we will see. Like Morgan said, it's always great when the New York team is doing well because it's always better when they lose. So it's great. It's a great thing. Congrats to all 4 teams that made it that far. The Flyers aren't sniffing that for a while, so congrats to them. And we'll see. We'll see if Canada gets a championship or Dallas gets a championship. I don't know. I probably have to root for Edmonton because it's like picking between the 2 worst outcomes as a Philadelphia fan. Do you want a Dallas team to win even though it's not the Cowboys? Or do you want a New York team to win? It's like, can they both just lose?
Yeah.
So that's the
So
thing, man.
Kylan's rooting for Canada is the moral of the story.
I am. So the other thing that we need to come on because we have some updates. SBJ, the Sports Business Journal, is reporting. Oh, before we get there, great segment. We welcome the return of Morgan Does Hockey. Look for more of these as the hockey season wraps up. But SBJ, Sports Business Journal, is reporting the NBA will finalize deals with ESPN, Amazon, and NBC this week or probably yesterday. We again, neither one of us know anything because we are not sports. Hear me now, a sports media business reporters. So there's 2 different, like, both of us are a part of sports media, but there was a whole segment of sports journalism called sports media. Is it sports business? Sports business. This is what SBJ is short for, Sports Business Journal. So there's sports business and sports media business journalism, which neither one of us. I mean, we might dabble in, but we don't write about it. So, I know nothing. I don't think Morgan knows anything. But as far as the NBC side of this, ESPN is, I ESPN had matching rights. I even though I was
Yeah, I
rooting.
actually just searched NBA in my work email just to make sure that I wasn't lying to you, and I said I hadn't heard anything, and no, we have nothing. We haven't heard anything. So
Okay, cool. So, ESPN, obviously, they already had the right. So that's a handshake deal there. Amazon and NBC would be new. And, I just think it's crazy. That's the NBA you and I grew up on. NBA on NBC, inside stuff. Like, it's back. I'm feeling kind of nostalgic. Well, it might be back. Let me not get Morgan in trouble here. It might be
I
back.
said this. I would love it. I think the more live sports that NBC has is better. The people that do live sports at NBC are so incredible.
They
And
are.
it's the intriguing part would be who's going to call the games. I don't. Tarico's pretty booked up. I don't even know if he does basketball.
Not
Everybody else
for
that we,
not for a long time, but I already told you we got the sideline reporter right here, or the future
yeah,
anchor
put me
slash
on,
analyst.
coach.
We
Put
got
me
we
on,
got them
coach.
both right here. Check us out.
Uh,
Hit us up, NBC. Like Noah's busy. Half the talent is going to be busy this fall, so hit us up. You got Big Ten, so they're going to be busy from
it's
September to
true.
October. So hit us.
It's true.
They're going to be
So
busy until March. So hit us up.
yeah,
like
so it's
you know.
exciting. I don't know much about. Again, I know nothing. We haven't been told anything, but I would absolutely love for NBC to get anything like that. I think it would be awesome. Amazon does do a good job. Their Thursday night football has been better each year that they've done it. And again, that is also I don't know if that will still be if that will also be contracted through NBC as football is as well. But Prime does a great job with stuff, and ESPN, I have a lot of mixed feelings on it. In my opinion, ESPN needs to take a step back because they do too much, I think, sometimes, and I think that sometimes their stuff can get watered down. But they do a
Don't
good
worry,
job with their NBA.
we'll get to what happened on Sunday. That's a question. That's coming up. So we'll get to what happened on Sunday, even though I was at a banquet and I missed the New York Knicks halftime, the New York Knicks pre-post and halftime show that apparently happened on ESPN on Sunday. So we will get there. Don't worry. Don't worry, Pacers fans and anybody else that was not a Knicks fan that was what had the misfortune of watching whatever happened on Sunday afternoon during Game 7 or before Game 7, the Knicks and the Pacers. We will get there. That might be that hint. That might be one of our he's not him, they aren't them, she's not her. We'll see. We I'm very excited for specifically for NBC and Amazon just because I've said this on the show before. I might not be doing it myself any favors if I ever try to get a job at ESPN, but they have things that they could definitely improve on when it comes to the NBA. I love Malika Andrews. I love Chineke.
They're
I
they
love
do a good job. Their
Chine.
talent is
Chine.
great. Their talent is great. It's nothing about that. It's just when one company does so many sports, I think sometimes it's hard to police everything that happens on their channels.
Right.
If that makes sense.
I love Chine. Like I think that if these three are the three, I just think maybe ESPN needs to get less basketball. But if those are the three, I think I'll be happy. I will get to inside the NBA. I think over the last 2 weeks, I have made my feelings clear. Even though I have friends that work on a friend that works on that show, I think I made it pretty clear what I think about the cash inside the NBA and how it appeals to casuals. But if you want to hear my thoughts on this, stay tuned for the next question. But I am very, I think it'll be good to like have it split. I think it's good that ESPN will have some competition now instead of like the wink wink between them and WB about covering these things. I think it will be better. I think NBC
I've said that I am a big proponent of, and I said this when Netflix got the Christmas games for the NFL. I think the more people that have one sport makes the sport better for the consumer because it makes every broadcast conglomerate try harder because they're not just doing all of the games. They have to make their games better than their partners' games, which I think it makes, in turn, makes it a better viewing experience for the consumer.
Yeah, I think, like I said, this is as two millennials. This is what we grew up on. The NBA on NBC, not so much the NBA on Amazon. I mean, we've kind of seen what they've done with the WNBA, and that's been pretty good. Those of you that don't know, Amazon does own Twitch. as you get deeper in this media space, you'll see that
Everyone knows
some,
there's like
yeah,
three companies.
yeah, a lot of things that you think is owned by an independent company, you find out is under Amazon, Netflix, Comcast, Disney. You find out that a lot of stuff is not as independent as you think it is. So I am of the mindset that NBC and Amazon should bring some competition here, especially for ESPN, who has gotten away with mid for to bring it to today's slang, very very mid NBA coverage for a long time. So I am very happy about this. It seems like I won't have to watch some of these national games on mute anymore. So I'm very happy to see what NBC and Amazon possibly do if WB decides not to match and slides one of them out. Seems like it might be Amazon, which is kind of shocking based on what I'm hearing that WB might try to push out Amazon, which I think is going to be a lose-lose situation. But I guess Comcast is probably willing to put too much of the cable money up. I am of the mindset. But yeah, so sad for a lot of people who really care about inside the NBA because this upcoming year will be probably the last year of Inside the NBA. So, what is your reaction to this, Morgan? Because I know of the two of us, you're more of a fan of Inside the NBA than I am. So, I'll
I
let
mean,
you be
I
positive about
I
it.
I enjoy watching it. I think they're a fun talent, but I don't think that it's a reason to just give WB the NBA, if that makes sense. Like, yeah, it's sad, and I wish they would all go to another company together. If they're not going to do it, they'll find other people that will do it, and they'll find new stars, and it'll be good. That's kind of how I feel. I mean, it'll be sad for sure, but I think this last season will be the end of the season will be kind of crazy. But you know, I that's kind of how I feel.
This is
I
gonna
don't think
sound
it's going to be terribly missed.
this is gonna sound crazy as I'm speaking as Colin Watson, the sports journalist, not Colin Watson, the basketball fan. I'm gonna try to keep objectivity here, despite what I think. Right? I think it has been great for the sport of basketball. Maybe not these last few years, but for the sport of basketball that inside the NBA exists. Despite the fact that as a journalist, I think that having the only journalist on that show be Ernie Johnson has kept it, kept it, kept it as mid as it's been for a while. I think that a lot of this stuff, for those of you that don't know, a lot of journalism, we do what we need to do, but a lot of it is very subjective. A lot of people, like inside the NBA, likes to brag that they're the best show ever because they keep winning Emmys. Emmys are subjective. Taken from two people who were one works for NBC, but taken from two people who have worked for a company that brags about the Olympics Emmys. But like, come on now, you're the only one that broadcasts it. Of course, you get an Emmy for that. So it's a whole thing. So like it's very subjective. For me, in the objective, I think that this show has hurt basketball more than it has helped. I think it's a very casual show. I think it's a show that has very much appealed to casuals. Just in my unscientific circle of friends, I know I've said this before that a lot of my friends in basketball that are just basketball fans, not just sports journalists. There are a lot of sports journalists that have the same opinion I do about inside the NBA. That it has not helped the sport of basketball grow. So I'm not the only one that thinks this. I'm what the culture's feeling. Shout out Kendrick Lamar. I just think that I think that it has helped a lot of people like basketball more than they should. Um, I think it's definitely helped TNT and WB be like a sports broadcaster. Obviously, they've had the job for 40 years. We all miss Craig Sager. He kind of made NBA sideline reporting as well. It's a whole thing. So I think that it's had its good and bad. But will I miss the show? Now that I've given the show its flowers, I'm going to kill it now. I'm taking the hat off. So will I miss it? No. I feel for the friends that I know who do work on it. Hopefully they will get something else. Maybe hopefully they're hockey fans. So it seems like there's going to be maybe a wink wink thing there with seems like NBC will be losing the NASCAR or something because I know WB is getting some NASCAR stuff in a couple of weeks. That has come out now, so maybe that's the wink wink deal there. I don't really know. Maybe Morgan can speak more to that. But I think it was a good show for what it was, but I think it's overstayed its welcome, and I won't personally miss it, but I will enjoy the fact that there Shaq and Charles Barkley and the rest are going to be unhinged now, except again for Ernie. Ernie's a journalist. He's going to be a natural. He's going to keep it professional. But the former basketball players on that panel with him probably will not, because Charles Barkley, as Morgan saw this week on the Dan Patrick Show, is basically letting it fly on David Zasloff. And so I am of the mindset that I won't miss it, but and that kind of gets into the next question. Like, I won't miss it, but those of you that do, enjoy it. This is going to be a good time if you're a Charles Barkley fan, because he's going to be letting it fly next season.
Yeah, for
uh,
sure.
yeah, you got anything to add to that? Are you
No,
going
I
to
think
miss
we
it?
covered it.
All right. So more speculation. If WB does lose, which seems like they will, but we don't know. Neither one of us know. If WB does lose their broadcasting rights to the NBA, what should happen to the lead executives?
I mean, I just feel like WB's been losing a lot of stuff recently. I don't know if they are. I don't know. I mean, what do you? I generally don't have an opinion on it. I don't really know. I don't know enough about that side, like kind of the world of sports. Hey, RC.
What up,
Um,
Varsity?
I don't know enough really to make an opinion, I guess, on that. You probably know more about that side of the world than I do.
Yeah, so I'll say it like this. Obviously, I know nothing. Like I said, I do have a few friends that work for Turner. Well, not Turner Sports. Warner. What is it called now? I guess it is still Turner Sports. TNT Sports and all that. I do know a couple of people that work for there. One person on the hockey side, one person on the basketball side. So I think that this is the first thing that really hurts WB. Obviously, for those of you that don't know, you haven't been paying attention to it. Warner Brothers and Discovery Channel merged. What was it, Morgan? 1 or 2 years ago.
I think it was
They
2 years ago.
yeah, 2 years ago, David Zasloff, the man that brought you things like Honey Boo Boo and all that other stuff, all that other reality TV that some of y'all like, John and Kate plus eight, all that Discovery Channel stuff that some of y'all like. My mom's favorite show slash also a walking horror story for her. Hoarders, for those of you that grew up on that show. So he's over at WB now. They've been shelving movies. A lot of y'all, maybe not as far as I don't know what the crossover is between for this show and sports and movies fans, but a lot of you were upset about them shelving Coyote versus Acme, Wonder Woman, the Batwoman movie. They've been shelving movies, but this is their first sports property that they're likely to lose because of the hubris for to be nice about it. Because Charles Barkley, like we said yesterday or 2 days ago, let it fly on David Zasloff and what he feels about the fact that this man be shelving movies for tax purposes. And we're not going to get to this. Maybe we'll get to it next week. But now it's sub licensing. Charles Barkley said 2 days ago, those that don't know, they're sub licensing the playoffs now, the college football playoffs, because of ESPN on TNT now. And he was like, "Why aren't they doing that for the dang basketball?" Y'all know Charles Barkley and that Alabamian accent that he has. Charles Barkley is a basketball lover, former basketball player, so of course, this really hurts him. But he has said, as he said this week, he more feels for the people, like the people I know that are behind the cameras, who have their jobs, are probably not going to be there, and they'll have to move somewhere else in the company that's already bleeding. And rumors are that it may or may not be bought by NBC. So there is a lot going on here. This is like the biggest thing. For those of you that like this term, they're in the find out portion after effing around. Where David Zasloff famously said last year, the year before that WB didn't need the NBA. And I said this off air. I'll say it on air. Like, Adam Silver is the ultimate find out person. Like, I don't know him personally. I don't know if Morgan does. I know I don't. I don't know him personally. But if you look at Adam Silver, he's not the type of person that he's not Roger Goodell. He doesn't do things because it's good business. He does things, and that's why the NBA makes a lot of money. That's about to make a lot of money off their TV deals. Like he is not. He is not. He is him and the NBA are not like, you know, married to whoever their broadcast partner is, because clearly they're tired of Zaslav and Warner Brothers and getting mid coverage on WB. So they're leaving and going to NBC and Amazon, and ESPN should take notice. Just because you got, they're more than likely ending a 40-year partnership. Just because you got Stephen A. Smith doesn't mean that in 5 more years the NBA won't be like, we're tired of you too. We're going somewhere else. So don't think that the NBA won't do the same thing to you. So I just think that Disney should probably take notice and never put the NFL draft on ABC again. So during the NBA playoffs, Disney should probably take notice and do something else now that they're the most experienced partner. But as far as this should go, I said this last week. I'll say it again. I think David Zaslav should be fired because he is costing. I think they said that the game 7 between the Timberwolves and the Nuggets did like 3.36 million people, on a random Sunday in May. Like, it wasn't Memorial Day. There wasn't anything that juiced the numbers. And they still did 3.36 million people. Like, there's nothing on TNT or TBS that gets that amount of people. Not even hockey does that. So I just think that, you got 4 million people. So I think that, I think that David Zaslav and his lieutenants should lose their jobs. Like, just like, Ebersol did when he lost the NFL the first time, right? In the NBA, he said they didn't need it, and now nobody, Morgan can speak to this better than I can. No one really mentions Ebersol anymore because the hit there is that he cost NBC a lot of money when they lost the NBA and it went to ESPN and TNT and not to them, because just like David Zaslav, he got a little bit too cocky and thought that the NBA was just going to be there because they had a 20-year partnership. And it doesn't work out like that for the NBA.
Yeah.
All right.
You crushed that.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so for game 7s, Knicks, Pacers, and Nuggets, Timberwolves. Now, admittedly, I was at a banquet, so I missed this Knicks Pacers game. So I missed the Pacers destroying the Knicks. So Morgan, I don't know if you saw that. I did see Nuggets, Timberwolves. But from what I understand, it did not go well for the Knicks. Jalen Brunson fractured his hand. OG Anunoby did his best, but he was on one leg. Josh Hart didn't have an abdomen, and still the Knicks came back from being like 20 plus points down, still lost the game because they were down 20 plus points. It didn't have Jalen Brunson on the floor. It's unfortunate. Like I said, we're gonna get to what happened. For those of you that watched the game on ABC, what happened? We're gonna get to that in a couple of questions. But I honestly think like we said last week, injuries got to the Knicks. They couldn't really handle the Pacers, and the Pacers won against the Knicks, and now they're down. Now they're down 2 games. To the it's weird, right? We'll get to the Nuggets. And was like both of the teams that went to Game 7s last weekend are both down 2 games. I think a lot of that is because they expanded a lot of energy trying to beat the Knicks and the Nuggets. And so they're not there yet energy wise. And the teams that were more fresh and ended their series for the Celtics in 6, and for the in 5, and for the Mavericks in 6 are both up 2-0. But I just think that these were very good game 7s, and unfortunately for both of those young teams, it seems that the energy isn't there yet. But I think it will be as the series shifts to Indiana and the series shifts to Dallas. By the way, shout out to Dallas. I don't. I already see with the jokes. Yeah, man. So I am of the mindset. So shout out to Dallas being the first city in a while that's going to host the Western Conference Final in hockey and also in basketball. within a few days of each other. So shout out to the city of Dallas. But as far as these game sevens go, like I said, I did not see the Knicks and Pacers, but that Nuggets Timberwolves game was relentless. Both of those games ended up being blowouts, and it's unfortunate what happened to the Nuggets. But the Timberwolves were the better team. More, you got anything to add on that?
No, I agree with you. I mean, all these series have been exciting. Anytime you can get to games 5, 6, 7 are fun. Anytime they're not sweeps. And like we keep saying, game 7, the best 2 words in sports.
Amen. All right. So, to what happened last night? The Mavericks beat. Ooh, excuse me. Was not expecting. Um, the the Mavericks beat the Timberwolves in Game 2 on basically a Luka Doncic one-legged buzzer beater, 109 to 108, and now they take the 2-0 lead. So Morgan, you got any reaction to this?
No.
Sorry.
I mean, I think that people were counting the Mavs out, and I think that you can't ever count out the team with Luka in it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
he's the best player left in the
Playoffs.
in the playoffs, and you can't ever count somebody like that out. You know?
Mm-hmm. Well, look, I'll say it like this. I think that Minnesota is probably overestimating the Mavericks, and I think that to hit the next question, they are definitely exposing some of the Timberwolves' defensive weaknesses, like the fact that they overhelp and play over aggressively. And I'm sure if the Nuggets had a younger centers who could do what the Mavs are doing, which is basically like lobbing the Timberwolves into existence, out of existence, that they would have done it. But I am of the mindset that the Timberwolves just need to adjust. They need to take their time. They're tired. It's now every other game. They played 7 games. Anthony Edwards isn't playing like the Anthony Edwards he should be playing as. I think once they adjust, take it a game at a time. I still think this series is going 7 games. RC has outed himself as a diehard Dallas Stars fan. He's 100% not a Mavs fan, and even he's worried. Uh, uh, Yeah, I mean, at this point, he's not matching him, but I think that they will make the necessary adjustments, which should be to just blitz and get the ball out of Kyrie and Luka's hands. Like, live with Kyrie burning you than Luka burning you, especially on one leg. So I still think the Timberwolves. I mean, they were able to overcome, blowing it against the Nuggets. So I think that they'll this is still going 7. I think that I think that the Mavs have exposed some weaknesses with the Timberwolves. I think that they'll get that lob defense. Excuse me, y'all. They'll get that lob defense figured out. But right now the Mavericks have done what they were supposed to do. Win at least one game. They've done better. They've won 2 against Minnesota on their home floor. They've taken the confidence and the best punches that the Timberwolves have, and so we'll see how the Timberwolves respond. But to the next question, Morgan, have the Timberwolves peaked too soon or at the right time?
I mean, I would say at the right time, wouldn't you? Or do you think too soon? I would
Um,
say it's at the right time. I would say that right now is exactly when they need to be. I mean, they need to be peaking because they need to be at their best to beat Luka.
RC has already given up. He does not believe me. But he's been wrong
He
before.
has very little faith in his teams.
Yeah, yes. I told him, didn't I tell him 2 weeks ago? I said I had to change my mind because I said Nuggets in 7, and then I changed it to Timberwolves in 7. So I just think, RC, you need to go with me. I think that I obviously game 3, for lack of a better term, because I don't think the Timberwolves can survive being down 3-0, especially tired and playing every other day. So they need to win game 3 on tomorrow. But I think that the Timberwolves play better when they're not at home. so I think that the Timberwolves can take can take Dallas's soul in Dallas, just because like even though they have Derek Lively and they're playing defense right now, a lot of it is just because the Timberwolves aren't hitting their shots. Once those shots start falling, like the Timberwolves will be able to beat them. And once they get their defensive discipline down, I think that the Timberwolves will be fine. But to the question at hand, I think they're peaking at the right time. You know, again, like I said, I think they're suffering the after effects, and we saw this with Boston last year, right? You suffer the after effects of playing 7 games the series before, when now instead of having every 2 days, you're gone every other day. So it's kind of crazy right now, especially for a young team like the Timberwolves. But I think they'll adjust, and I still think I don't think they peak. I don't think they peaked too soon. I think they peaked at the right time. But it's kind of like what happened with the Thunder. You learn from every game, and so I think Anthony Edwards has to be more aggressive, as both RC and Morgan said, to match Luka. But also they have to figure out what they're going to do about that defense. They can't allow lobs. Like, you can allow Luka and Kyrie to beat you, but you can't allow everybody else to get off. And so I think that they're peaking at the right time. And I told Morgan since last summer the Timberwolves are coming. I think the Timberwolves are coming, and whether they win in 7, win in 6, I think that, even if Dallas beats them in this series, they're coming. They'll be in the finals in the next 2 years. So RC, you can take solace in that. But Morgan, will the Western Conference Finals go the distance? Let's see if you with me or are you with RC? Is it ending in 5 or 6 games because you like Luka that much?
I think it's ending. I like Luca, but sorry, RC. I'm sorry. Hey, I'm from DC. I get it. Trust me. We, I get it. I get the. It's hard. It's hard. But I know I'm thinking Luca. I'm sorry. RC.
Well, I have no faith. I have no faith in the Mavericks because they're a team from Dallas, and I think that I think the injuries will start to catch up to Luka. He was hobbling in the game before. I think sort of like I said about the Knicks. I think this only goes so far before the strength and the defense of Minnesota shows up. So I think that this goes the distance. I think it goes 7 games, and I think the Timberwolves win again. I think the grit of the Timberwolves makes it go 7. But if the Mavericks beat them tomorrow, I will say that they lose that they lose in 6. Um, but I am of the mindset that the Timberwolves, and we've seen it in playoffs time and time again, except for against the OKC Thunder last series. Like, the better teams usually show up, they adjust. So I think I still have faith in the Timberwolves until I see them lose tomorrow night. If they win tomorrow night, I will say that I've never lost faith in them. I'm a little shaky right now, but I still have faith because I don't think the Mavericks really play that good. I think that the Timberwolves are beating themselves by turning the ball over, as Anthony Edwards did last night when he got caught in no man's land and threw it to Justin Jefferson. I don't even know if he was there last night, but threw it to whoever was in the front row. And instead of holding the ball and getting fouled, there were a couple of missed calls as well. But I still think this conference finals goes the distance. 7 games. I think we got back-to-back 7-game series in both conferences. All right. So to what happened on Sunday that I missed because I was at a banquet. Do the smaller market teams get shafted by the national media in coverage in the NBA? Morgan, you want to take this one?
I mean, yeah, I think that unfortunately, yeah, they do, and this was proof on Sunday or Saturday when
Sunday.
Sunday when the Knicks lost, and you would have thought that it was a Knicks broadcast. It was all about the Knicks pregame, all about the Knicks halftime, all about the Knicks postgame, even though the Pacers won. And it's a problem. You have to be able to talk about both sides of both teams, especially when you're covering a game nationally. This isn't a college game where you're the local broadcast. Like, that's not how this works. So you're the national broadcast for a playoff game. It's not just about the Knicks. It's about both teams and both fan bases because both are watching.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I don't think I have much to add besides this. I mean, like I said, at this point, Disney should be on notice because Like I said, the NBA just ended a 40-year, is about to end, I should say, because we don't know anything. Is about to end a 40-year partnership with the WB. So I mean, how soon will they end this? Getting having a team that's one of the youngest in the NBA who beats a big market team, and your broadcast is more about the Knicks, the team that lost, than the Pacers. I mean, but we've seen this before in football with ESPN and NBC and all this, how they focus on the four big football teams instead of the teams that are doing well. I mean, a lot of off-season and in-season coverage is, are the Cowboys going to win the Super Bowl this year? La, 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 la. Like, and it's the 49ers and Eagles and other teams. And, like, they don't start talking about them until the season starts and they're the best team. And still somehow it becomes about the Cowboys. Just like in the NBA, it becomes about, what are the Knicks doing? What are the Lakers doing? What's this doing? What's that doing? Like, they do get shafted, but it's not just the NBA; it's everywhere. And especially when the smaller market teams are doing well. Indiana is like a basketball mecca. I have never been there, but I know Morgan was just there for the NFL Combine, correct? Not the
Yep.
draft. So I know you have been in that basketball mecca more than I have. They just had the All-Star game too. Like they it's a basketball powerhouse. Like obviously people know Indiana for, if you build it, they will come to fill the dreams. But it is a basketball mecca, and for them to disrespect a Midwest basketball mecca like that is stupid. And I think ESPN should be on notice right now that look at what the NBA is about to do to TNT, and don't think that can't be you. Like they did it to NBC, they've done it to TNT. Don't think that can't be you for doing too much when it comes to this coverage. And it's a crazy thing, when your hubris gets you.
Yeah.
All right. Now, you got anything else?
No, I think you like what we kind of said. I think yes, it does. And unfortunately, it sucks that that happens.
All right. All right. So to the ECF, the Celtics destroy the Pacers again. The trend continues. You play a 7-game series, and then you get to the ECF. This happened to the Celtics last year against the Heat. Like you are very weak, and now you're playing every other game, and injuries are piling up for the Pacers. Tyrese Halliburton has a bad leg. We don't know if he'll play tonight. I think he's questionable. I think he's going to play. It's the playoffs, but how good or bad will he be? Again, this is a must win. Oh wait, we're not there yet. Let me talk about game 2 days ago. So the Pacers seem to be suffering from the fact that, like I said, they won a 7-game series, and the Celtics get to do what the Heat did to them last year to the Pacers. And the Pacers at this point just seem to be overwhelmed by the Celtics' athleticism. I never thought I'd say that, but I think that now that Jaylen Brown has just been way too much for them. And it really is just been the Jaylen Brown and Derek White show. Drew Holiday has put in some points, but he's not. He was 5 of 5 last game, but he's not really been doing that much for them. They've really just been overwhelmed by the athleticism and Derek White and Jaylen Brown. I mean, Jaylen Brown dropped 40 points last game, so that's really was it, right? That was what beat the Pacers, Jaylen Brown and their turnovers. If they kept Jaylen Brown in check and just let Jason Tatum do what he usually does in the playoffs, which is this, they would have been fine last night. But I'm sorry, 2 nights ago. But I am of the mindset that the Pacers should at least win one of these games. It's a must win. We'll get to it in a minute, but I'll start it off. It's a must win tonight for the Pacers. It's game 3. They can't afford to be down 3-0 against the Celtics, who want to end this very, very quickly, because I think they see what I'm seeing, that the Western Conference Finals is probably going 6 to 7 games. Morgan, you got
Yeah,
anything else
they
to add?
want to end this as soon as possible so that they can have some rest and play a team that has come off of a long, hard fought battle, and they've had some time to rest. I mean, that is the absolute key. And I think that if they win tonight, it might be a sweep.
All right, RC. Pacers cooked and ready to be served. Get a plate and a napkin because they're done. RC with the kills. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. I just think that the last few series for the like I said, for the Celtics have both been 5 game series. So I think that they're liable to give up at least 1 or 2 games to the Pacers. I just don't know if it'll be, I think it will be tonight, but we'll get to that. But to the other question, just to finish off the Boston side of this, has Jaylen Brown surpassed Jason Tatum during this series? Morgan knows. I say this all the time that when the playoffs happen, Jason Tatum does this, you know, and it's being proved. Like it showed up in the finals a few years ago. It's showing up now. Like I don't know what it is, but Tatum struggles in the playoffs, especially as the pressure ramps up. He does well in round one, then round 2 and 3 happens, and he does this. And for all the game sevens like last year where he drops 50, he then has games where he drops like 18, 17, 20 before he goes back up again for that one game when the Celtics really need him. And this might be that game tonight. I just think that, I think that Jalen, to answer the question, I think Jaylen Brown has surpassed Jason Tatum, and he should. He is the highest paid player on that roster right now until Jason Tatum either resigns or does what I think he'll do and leave Boston next year. So I think that Jaylen Brown makes close to $400 million a year now. Now he has his new contract. He needs to be scoring 40 points a game. He needs to be scoring at least 25 to 30 points a game. Like this is what you should be doing, right? You are 1B. You're trying to be 1A because you make 1A money right now. So I am of the mindset that yeah, Jaylen Brown for right now, especially in this series, has surpassed Jason Tatum until Jason Tatum, like I always say, it's about consistency with me. I know a lot of people think, yo, you're just a Sixers fan who's a Celtics hater. And I will not deny that I'm a Celtics hater, but Morgan knows I've been consistent about this, that I don't think the Celtics are a juggernaut. And I think that next series they will be found out. I think that whoever the Western Conference team is, I hate saying it because one of those teams is in Dallas, but I think that the Western Conference is going to win and beat the Celtics in about 6 games. So in the finals and next round. But
I disagree with you, but
yeah,
you know,
I think that Jaylen Brown has to answer the question. I think Jaylen Brown has surpassed Jason Tatum, and Jason Tatum needs to consistently score some points again because you can't be a third or fourth MVP contender this year, be mad that no one wants to put you in the top 2 because you play with a freaking all-star team and then do this in the playoffs. Like, like that's what I'm on the mindset of. Now, I love Jason Tatum. I would love for him to be a Sixer. I hope that happens after next year when he leaves the Celtics, but we'll see. So if I speak it into existence, it will happen, Morgan. I see you shaking your head. But go ahead.
Somehow it always comes back to the Sixers.
Yeah, but go ahead. Go ahead. What's your opinion on
No,
this?
I think that's true. I think that if Jason Tatum wants to be considered the 1A player, then he needs to consistently step it up and be that 1A player during the playoffs. There's that. You can't, if you want to be the best, you can't shy away from the big lights. And sometimes I feel like he shies away from the big lights in certain circumstances. So I think that he still has a lot to prove to all of us. And I think that you're right where Tatum needs to step it up. He needs to be scoring more during these big time games. Even though they are blowing people out, that's not going to happen in the finals. So if they get there, he's got to start playing up to the caliber that we know he can.
Mm-hmm. All right. So to the Pacers side of this, can the Pacers win a game in this series or more, especially with a hobbled Tyrese Halliburton? You want to start on this one?
Again, I don't. If they lose tonight, then no. I'm going to say it's going to be a sweep. If they win tonight, they might catch maybe one more, but I really think the Celtics are going to sweep them. I really do.
Okay. Well, look, man, I think that we just talked about Tatum needs to step it up. Even on one leg, Tyrese Halliburton has to step it up. Tyrese, I know that your whole thing is being a playmaker, making assists, doing this stuff. I said this in my article for Last Word on Sports when I was talking about what the Pacers need to happen for them to win game 1. And then the same thing needs to happen in game 2. Like, you have to be the superstar, dog. Like, you got superstar money, just like with Tatum. Like, you want superstar money, and just like with Jaylen Brown, like, You have to be the best player on the floor, even on one leg. Like, you got to be selfish, dog. You got to attack. I know you're facing Derek White and Drew Holiday, two of the best defenders in the Eastern Conference, and they're both in the same backcourt. But you got to attack, man. Even on one leg, you got to
Yep.
attack, man. You can't even hobble. You have to do something. You got to score 20 plus points. You got to be the best player on the floor. And I know you're playing Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, but you got to be the best player on the floor, man. Indiana needs to win one game. Your teammates are doing it. They're tired. Everybody's been through a 7-game series. You got to do it, Tyrese. If you play tonight, you got to do it. You can't shy. Just like with Jason Tatum, you can't shy away from the moment, man. The Pacers are coming, and for them to win, at least for them to win tonight in the rocking, Invesco Fieldhouse, like, Bainbridge Fieldhouse. You have to do well tonight. Like, even on one leg, Tyrese, you have to do well. You got to be selfish, man. I know that you're a 20 and 10 assist type of guy. You got to be selfish tonight, man. You got to attack. Basically, y'all backs are against the wall. If the Celtics win tonight, I might agree with Morgan that they're going to sweep y'all. But usually they give up a game away from the Heat. The Heat and Cavaliers were able to do something that the Pacers haven't done yet, which is win in Boston in the Garden. So, but the Pacers will have to do it at home, and the good thing for the Pacers is they're undefeated at home. So, so far in this playoff series. So we will see if that holds up. But to the Game 3 preview, like I said, something has to give. Will the Celtics win Game 3, or will the Pacers' undefeated streak stay? Um, but I think the Pacers will win tonight. Just because I think that Boston really doesn't have an answer for their bench. I think that the X factors. RC just said that the clock is striking midnight for the Pacers. I don't think Cinderella's done dancing yet. RC. I think that Boston will win. I think that Boston will lose tonight. And I think that TJ McConnell and the bench will be a big X factor here. I think that old Horford will show his face. I think that you already said earlier today, and Morgan kind of alluded to it too, that if the 3-pointers aren't falling for Boston, as they tend not to do when they're not in the Garden, they're going to lose. And so I think that if the threes aren't falling, if old Horford isn't able to sun Miles Turner and actually get some rebounds, if they let Miles Turner play and not put him in foul trouble immediately, I think that the Pacers will win tonight. So I think an X factor for the Pacers is their bench. Can TJ McConnell continue to be that guy? Will they get more help for him? Will somebody else, will Andrew Nimhart put up some more points? Will Miles Turner find himself again? I think all of these questions will be answered tonight. I think role players play better at home, and I think that a blowout is coming for the Celtics. I definitely think that this is a game that they're more than likely to lose. I think that the Celtics lose tonight, and I think it'll be 120 to 110, not 120 to 10, 120 to 110. I think the Celtics lose tonight. But more importantly, for as far as the Celtics X factors too, like Derek White. Can Derek White continue to make the plays when it matters? Can he continue to get the steals? Can he continue to score? I don't think so, especially away from the Garden. I think that he goes back to being a pumpkin again, and won't be putting up more than 15 points tonight, and neither will Drew Holiday. And so I think when it falls on, I think the biggest X factor for the Celtics if they win tonight will be if Jason Tatum puts up more than 20 points tonight. If he does that, then yeah, the Pacers have no chance. But that's my X factors, and I've already said my prediction for tonight. I think Pacers 120 to 110. What about you, Morgan?
No, I completely agree with you. I don't think the Pacers are going to win. Sorry, I agree with you for the predictions, but I think the Celtics are going to win.
Tonight,
Like,
you think the Celtics win tonight?
yeah, like
Okay.
102-90.
Okay. All right. So then you kind of answered the next question. Will the Eastern Conference go the distance? Do you think the Celtics? Do you think the Celtics will give it up? Will give up these next two games and make it go 6 or 7? Mike is
No,
upset about something.
yeah, he's upset. He sees his grandma outside, and he's in love with her, and he wants to go see her so badly. And I said that we can't go see grandma till after the podcast is done, and he does not like that answer. But no, I don't think they're going to go the distance. I think it's done in four. I've said this. I think
It's getting swept. You think it's getting swept? RC thinks the clock is striking midnight. All right, we enter these last few segments. The All NBA team selection. All right, what do you think, Morgan? First, second, and third team. What's up? What's up?
I have. I'm not going to lie to you. I watched so little of the regular season. I have no opinions on this. All I saw was the reaction to some of the players who didn't make the team, they were pissy. And I think it's a little bit of everything, kind of how the same thing as the Pro Bowl for the NBA or the NFL, that um, it's a little bit political. It's a little bit this and that. I understand why players are mad that they didn't make the team. But I mean, good for the players that did. That was like such a bad analysis from a reporter, from someone who I just have not been following this at all.
Okay, well, hold on. While I pull this up for you, then, so you can see it. Stand by. This is what happens when you do a live show, folks. um, but yeah, so I think like the biggest snub here was probably but I won't hold you and say that's not one of the biggest ones for me. For me at least was that. But you see right here, obviously the first team, Shea Gilgis Alexander, Luka Doncic, your boy, Jason Tatum, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Nikola Jokic. Now you know with the first team, obviously, if Joel Embiid would have been eligible here, there probably would be some people who are like, why didn't Tatum or Doncic make it? But like obviously, Joel Embiid being ineligible because of injury helped out some people here, getting to an All NBA team on the first team. I don't really have an opinion on this. I know some people think that Jalen Brunson should have been there. I'm not one of those people. Got to add within the podcast. Wow, I'm not one of those people who thinks that. Jalen Brunson did make the second team. Anthony Edwards, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard. Some people might have a problem there. Anthony Davis, um, Devin Booker, Stephen Curry, Tyrese Halliburton, LeBron James, and Domantas Sabonis. And I'm of the mindset that Tyrese Maxey should have made this list. But one of the things about it is who do you take off, and I just really don't want to have that conversation. I think you could definitely take off. Um, you probably could make an argument that for me, I think that the person you probably take off here is probably Kawhi, but I know that he played the minimum amount of games to make it, and I'm happy that those players who needed it for more money got it. But I am of the mindset that this is a good team. Other than Tyrese Maxey, I don't really have like a big complaint. Kawhi Leonard played the minimum amount of games to get it, so I don't know if I would take him out. And obviously, like a lot of these teams would have been different if Joel Embiid was eligible, but he was not eligible because he got injured. And that's my opinion. I think they made the right choice here. It doesn't seem like anybody besides Tyrese Maxey was screwed over because of these picks. But this is his first supermax contract, and Jalen Brunson, and everything and everybody else. I can't. I'll say it like this: this is a good list because Morgan knows if I could find an excuse to put Tyrese Maxey on here, I would. And I can't find an excuse, so it's a good list. So yeah. So moving right along, then. Um, what should the Sixers do this off season? What Morgan, if you were I know, I'm asking you to be
Blow it all up, right? Is
you
that what you're gonna say?
no,
Get Jason Tatum. Get
no.
what else? What are you gonna say? You need more shooters.
I'm gonna
Let's
I'm
see.
gonna let you I'm gonna let you start. What would you do if you were Daryl Morey and you were the president of basketball operations for the Philadelphia
I'd get
70.
some clutch players on your team.
Uh-huh.
I would. You need 3 shooters. That's what you always say. You need three playmakers. Sorry, 3 playmakers. And a collaborative team. Am I close to what you want to say?
You are. So I think so. First and foremost, I think the first thing you do is you sign Tyrese Maxey to that super max. You give him at least $40 million, so he is the second highest paid player on the roster, outside of Joel Embiid. I think that you go star hunting, right? You may not be able to get Paul George because he does like that LA life, and so does his wife. But I think you secure the bench first. I think you keep Nicholas Batum, you keep Kelly Oubre Jr., you go get Malik Monk. You need a 6 man, somebody who can score and isn't afraid. I've said this all the time. Isn't afraid of the moment. Tobias Harris not being there, James Harden not being there. $65 million. Go get some role players. Spend a good portion of that on the role players. I said this already. You make the pick. They have the 15th or 16th pick. You make that pick. I know they might end up trading it for like a Donovan Mitchell or Paul George or OG Anunoby. I don't know. I know some Knicks fans are cringing right now hearing me say OG Anunoby because they traded all of that space for him. But yeah, so you get somebody who can shoot, and who's not afraid of the moment, who can be that third guy next to Embiid and Maxey. But the first thing you do, like I said, is you re-sign Tyrese Maxey to his first super max. Because the rumor is that, and I've said this before, Tyrese Maxey is not a Robin. He's a Batman. He is next up once Joel Embiid starts declining. And so I think for the Sixers, you get a third player, whether that's Paul George, OG Anunoby, less enthused about Jimmy Butler, especially now that he's old Butler. If I was them, I'd try and get Brandon Ingram. Make that happen. He's younger. Your guy, the Kuz, seems like he wants to come and win again. So maybe they can see if Kyle Kuzma is available because they definitely need an actual power forward. And the one thing that Kuzma can do is grab some rebounds. He may shoot bad, but he can do that. He can grab some rebounds and play some defense. So that's what I think you do. You build out the bench. You get an actual power forward in here. Now that Tobias Harris won't be there, you get a Paul George. My three for me as far as free agent forwards, you either get Paul George, you get Brandon Ingram, who I prefer over Paul George, or you get OG Anunoby. Again, I don't know if the Knicks will let him walk, but it's happened before when somebody has traded. It happened to the Raptors with Kawhi Leonard. Who's to say it won't happen with OG Anunoby? So, I am of the mindset that the first thing you do, like I said, re-sign Tyrese, Tyrese Maxey. RC has an opinion. They're gonna get Kawhi. I mean, the rumor I'm hearing is it might be LeBron James. So and Bronny might make Morgan upset by going to Villanova and really messing up her Big East. Oh, wouldn't that make you frustrated? Can you imagine Bronny and Villanova?
He
You're
wants
on
to go to UConn, but
he
Dan
wants
Hurley's not going to want to deal with that BS.
he wants to go to UConn. All right. But yeah, so that's what the Sixers should do. Sign Tyrese Maxey, build out the bench, get Brandon Ingram or Paul George in that order. Then OG Anunoby if he's available, because as Morgan knows, Philadelphia teams love kicking a New York team in the ball. So that would be perfect. Um, and yeah, that's what I think the Sixers should do. Build the bench, resign Tyrese Maxey. That's your first order. Build the bench. Um, Resign Tyrese Maxey. Bring back Kelly Oubre. See if you can get Nick Batum to not go into retirement. And yeah, just do all those things and get those shooters, get that wing player. And I think that next year, I'm going to make an early prediction. Next year, the Sixers will be in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they will be in the finals, facing the Timberwolves or the Nuggets. You
Not
guys,
biased though. He's
you,
not, guys. He's not biased at all though.
you guys
Not
will
biased at
finally
all.
get your Sixers Nuggets final. I think next year. I think a lot of people will be happy about that. All right, so we're gonna go to this new segment, the shout out segment. Um, Morgan, I'm gonna let you start because I have
Yes.
to get the bill. So stall.
I am so excited. So as you guys all know, I'm a dance coach, and we just had tryouts last week. So I am super excited. We have 14 dancers on our squad this year. For the first time in like 5 or 6 years, we have a boy on the team. I am so excited for these young athletes in Connecticut. I'll be keeping you guys updated, but our goal this year is to travel to Florida for nationals. So we'll be doing a lot of fundraising. We'll share our fundraising pages on here, but it would be the first time ever that a high school from the town that I coach in Stratford, Connecticut, has gone to nationals for dance, which would be so exciting and such an amazing opportunity for these kids. So I will, of course, be shamelessly plugging our GoFundMe's and that kind of stuff throughout the next year to help get us there. But I'm so excited. So shout out to all of them, all the dancers that made it. I have 6 seniors. Oh my gosh, Mike's so excited too. I have 6 seniors on the team. 4 of them have been with me since my first year. So I'm so excited that they stuck with me for 4 years. And I can't wait for the season. It's going to be really, really, really fun. And, second shout out to all the kids graduating right now and joining the workforce, especially those trying to break into our crazy industry in the sports world. It's not easy, but it's definitely worth it and really fun. So that's mine. Kylan, are you there, or you want me to keep talking? I'm going to keep talking. Who else can I give some shout outs to? My brain is dead. I've been sick all week, so I've been in bed. Kylan's back. Good. I was like, oh my gosh, I went. I did shout out to all. Did you hear what I said?
No, I was the bell rung. That was our contractor. We had to get a lock fix.
No worries. So my shout out was to my dance team. We just had our tryouts. We have 14 dancers on the team this year. We have one boy too, which is amazing. I'm so excited to have him. But I was saying our goal this year is to travel to Florida for nationals,
Okay.
which is really expensive and would be the first time that a team from Stratford, Connecticut went to nationals for dance. So I said I'll shamelessly be plugging our GoFundMe's and all of our fundraisers on here and hope that we get some support from you guys.
Definitely linking into the description
Oh yeah.
when we do this. But yeah, my shout out segment as well. I want to shout out first and foremost. I want to shout out shamelessly, by the way, my the pastor of my church, Christian Shalom Church, Pastor Christopher A. Bell Sr. and his wife, Sister Renee Bell. They just celebrated their third anniversary of being the pastor of our church. So shout out to them. And the church is 58 years old, 58 years young. So they have been the pastor and the first lady for 3 years now. And you know, RC seems like he might be ready. He might be ready. He's excited for you. So shout out to them.
I'll have to show you guys our dance from last season. I remembered I never showed it, so maybe next week we'll start the pod off with. I'll post it on YouTube and we can link it in here.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. So yeah, so as far as sports wise, I do want to shout out the Syracuse women's rowing team. Those of you that watch the show know that I am a shameless Syracuse alum and will plug my teams whenever I can. So shout out to them for going back to back to back on the ACC championship for rowing. Shout out to the women rowers of Syracuse University. I think they are a two seed in the ACC championship. I mean, in the tournament, whatever the tournament looks like for rowing. I personally have never seen it. It seems like a good time, but I don't know. I don't know if Morgan knows any rowers in her family or like friends or something. I don't know what that looks like, but I'm assuming it's a fun time. I don't know. Do y'all have regattas in Connecticut? I'm assuming all that water. Y'all don't have no regattas. Have you been to one?
No.
But yeah, so yeah, shout out to them.
It's a very New England sport, I feel like.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So another one that I shouted out recently. Shout out to some Morgan. I don't know what you were doing at 14 years old. Probably the same thing I was, chilling and trying to figure out what your high school life was going to be. But 14-year-old not no relation. Kavan, I know very close to Kylan, but Kavan Sullivan, I talked about him a few weeks ago. 14 years old and signed to my local soccer team, the Philadelphia Union. And it looks like once he turns 18, he will be loaned out to Manchester City. So 14 years old, um, and and making $3 to $4 million, and then will eventually go to the Premier League, and make all that money for them as well. But like 14 years old to be a soccer phenom at 14 from a family of soccer stars, but the phenom is 14. Like, shout out to Kavan. And everything that he's doing, because like I said, I couldn't imagine making $4 million at 14 years old. So shout out to him, and then going to London when I turn 18. Like, you already have your plans, and you're not even like able to drive yet. So shout out to you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
That's
shout out
awesome.
to him. And again, I gotta shout out my Philadelphia Phillies. I know they hurt Morgan a little bit by beating up on her Nationals, but I have to shout out the best team in baseball. Don't get used to the baseball coverage too much. We got Phillies fans, but shout out to them. 9-0 Ranger Suarez, the third or fourth best pitcher on the staff, is the best pitcher right now. Shout out to Zach Wheeler. Um, we'll see what that London trip looks like next month. But yeah, that's our shout out segments. We'll be doing this more. So hit us up on social media at Kylan W. Watson, at M_India_Miller. To let us know, like, what are the stories, what's going on in your area, what are things that you want to shout out. As you see, we shout out churches, we shout out dance teams. We were kind of biased in this segment, but that's just because this is what we know. So let us know about things that you know needs to be shouted out. Could be something as simple as your cousin graduated from PK. We'll shout them out. I don't care. Like, we want to highlight positive things going on, not just in the sports world, but all over. So shout out to them. Shout out to EA. Morgan, I don't know if you saw this, but I know Dan and I are really excited about this. I did talk about this last week, but shout out to Electronic Arts Sports by making college football fans like myself and Dan so happy by bringing back the college football video game, and RC as well. He's a college football sports person too. Shout out to EA for it being real, letting us know that you weren't lying like most of these companies. So shout out to you for making our lives a little bit better. I don't know what Dan's gonna do. Maybe he'll take the PS5 with him on the honeymoon to be able to play that game. So aren't y'all honeymooning? Because it comes out the 19th. Aren't y'all on your honeymoon by then? Or you back
19th of June or July.
July?
We'll have just gotten back.
Well, okay, so he won't have to
We get
take the
back.
PS.
We get back on the 14th, 13th, 14th, something like that.
Okay, he won't have to take the PS5 with him to Bali, right?
He would.
He
Um,
would. All right, so yes, let's get Mike to his grandma. So now it's time for he's not him, she's not her, and they
like
aren't them.
I just want you guys to see like what I'm looking at. Like when I say that like Mike is waiting for me. Like, do you see this? Sitting there staring at me. I'm like, okay, I know. We'll go.
It's like grandma has cookies. I need that.
Like, no, she literally does. She hand makes her own dog treats and calls them cookies.
Oh,
yes, we'll go get them in a second. Give me 2 minutes, okay?
All right.
I know. I actually don't have any this week, and I know that's crazy. I like searched high and low. I guess I could say some of like the way that people are treating Caitlin Clark. I could have said that. But I don't know. I Harrison Butker was just such a big one. I guess, and I also could say, some of the reactions from some of his teammates kind of disappointed me. Like, I understand that they have to be political about it, but thanks, RC. We love you too. But I don't know. I feel like this was a good week. I feel like it's the middle of the summer. People are happy. People aren't like being mean as much. Maybe I could say they aren't them is the police department down in Valhalla, with all the stuff with Scotty Schefter. We're going to talk about that a little bit more when a little bit more comes through, but miraculously there was no body cam footage, and they're not dropping the suits and all this stuff. They have one kind of grainy video that really it looks like nothing happens at all, so it's a little bit confusing. So I guess that would be my they aren't them, but I don't really have one this week. I know that's crazy.
Oh, I've got a bunch. So From shouting out the video game world to shouting to killing some of the crudites in it. I bet you never thought you'd hear that SAT word here. Yeah. So the Assassin's Creed video game, not a game that I play. I'm more of a sports video gamer, and sometimes in a sci-fi video gamer. But I know that some people, I don't know. Is Dan a big fan of Assassin's Creed? Is that a game that you've seen him play? No.
No, I
Okay.
know Assassin's Creed. He plays like Valorant and stuff.
Okay. Okay. So, all right. So yeah. So the Assassin's Creed, the new game for Assassin's Creed, is going to focus on Japan and samurai and ninja stuff. And so they have two protagonists. One is a woman. One is black. The real character of Yasuke. I'll let you guess what some people are mad about. Hit hit. It is not the woman. so so you know yesterday it seemed like somebody, I'm not gonna lay claim to who did it because I don't know, but I know it was making the rounds on Twitter that speaking of the South, that they made a cut of the trailer where instead of it being Yasuke, it was a George Floyd mod. And for those of you that know about what happened a few summers ago with George Floyd, that is not something that a lot of black video gamers were very happy about. So that is, you can find the video on Twitter. I would not link to it. Just look up George Floyd and Assassin's Creed if you want to be mad on a Saturday. But my day aren't them to them, guys. These characters, these video game companies, they make these decisions to be more representative. It is not woke or DEI, which is the new. Some of y'all would call them the new buzzwords. I call them the new N word. It is not woke or DEI to be like, hey, we want to do a feudal Japan video game and we want to talk about a samurai that has a lot of respect in Japan, who was a former slave and became a samurai. I personally think that's a very interesting story. I mean, so I think that is a story that needs to be played. I don't think we need people, probably I don't know, I won't lay claim that probably somebody white who wanted to be like controversial by putting George Floyd in a game. Like, bruh, this is that is disturbing. That is racist. You need to stop, bro. We don't care that you're upset about it. Like, it's number one in pre-orders. It's gotten the intended effect. People want to play this game. It's a samurai game. Most people, even Morgan's probably interested in a samurai movie. Like, everybody likes a good samurai movie, whether they're action fans or not. Like, people like samurais. It's something that we don't talk about enough. So leave that alone. So that's one of my day anthems. My other one, I don't really have a he's not him. My other day anthem. Some of the professional basketball players like Jeff Teague and Charles Barkley. Morgan talked about the Caitlin Clark thing. The two specific ones who came up this week or last week for Jeff Teague, this week for Charles Barkley. Like, I get it. Caitlin Clark is making a lot of money, bringing more eyes to the league, doing a lot of stuff. But y'all don't need. Jeff Teague basically said, "Let that girl win." These are professional women's basketball players. I said it earlier today. If you are a person who never let your daughter or your girlfriend win in anything, you should not be fixing your lips to say, "Hey, yo, let these women who only make about a couple $100,000. This is their whole livelihood. For these next couple of months. Like, let this girl straight out of Iowa just dominate the games because y'all want more money. The struggle is good, right? A lot of y'all were mad when UConn was dominating the women's sports because y'all said that it was too predictable. You don't want to see it. You didn't want to see the journey. Don't you want to see a journey? You don't want things are not just. It's funny. The people who say they don't want their kids and people like me and Morgan getting participation trophies sure want to give Caitlin Clark a participation trophy. She can earn it. She can win it. They just won their first game. She didn't have a real good game, but 11 points, 10 rebounds. Like, that was a relatively good game. Help her team win, get their first win, and probably one of many, not one of more. Wrong terminology. One of many there. So, like, y'all just leave Caitlin Clark alone. Like I said earlier, y'all forced Aaliyah Boston off the internet. Like, let her and her teammates live, let them grow, let them develop. I promise you it will be a better story. Having things handed to you, especially as a professional athlete, doesn't work. So let's cut that one. And my other they aren't them. The NCAA. Not about what we talked about earlier. I watched Syracuse lose to BC for the seventh straight time. And you know one of the things that I didn't know, Morgan? I had no idea that in the women's lacrosse tournament, they don't use replay. So it's just based off of what the referee sees. And there was one thing there where a BC player, of course it was, hit a Syracuse player in the face with their stick, something that's not allowed, and they got a green card for having too many men. Not too many men, too many women on the field, and so that was a green card apparently. When it should have been a yellow card for the girl getting hit in the face, but there's no replays. Like I said, in women's college lacrosse, and that is a travesty that needs to be fixed, NCAA, because you miss a lot of stuff. Like, obviously, this didn't affect the fact that Syracuse blew a lot of chances to not put the ball in the net. So there was a lot. This had nothing to do with it. They lost 10-7. They tried their best, but they lost. They scored the amount of points that they lost to BC by 7 straight times. Like, BC has their number. If Syracuse is not getting a national title in women's lacrosse, it's probably because of BC. So I'm just sick of a team that I like losing to Boston. But I especially don't like it when there's replays that aren't being allowed. So NCAA, fix your college game. And one of the things that you should do is allow replays. Even baseball allows replays. You know it's bad when you're behind baseball in something. Like I know the MLB is catching strays after I apologized to them earlier, but you need to catch strays for that. So I am of the mindset that the NCAA, the first thing that they need to do when they review this tournament is allow replays, because there were a couple of calls that screwed Syracuse on some stuff, like them getting an offsides green card on something when the refs said that it was on a player that was in the box. So, a lot of y'all didn't think that I was a big lacrosse guy, but I am when Syracuse is playing. So NCAA allow these women coaches and these women teams to not have games that are marred by things like that, where I'm saying, as somebody that only pays attention to lacrosse where Syracuse is playing, that how is it that you're in a national tournament and you don't allow replay reviews in the tournament? The place where you need it, but you allowed it all regular season. What is wrong with y'all? So fix that. That's my they aren't them. Those are my they aren't thems. You're still on mute.
I'm on mute. All right, guys. Well, that wraps up this episode of the Sports Hour Plus with Miller and Watson. I know I have a very excited dog behind me who's ready to go see his grandma. But thanks for watching. Stay safe. Like, subscribe, follow us on socials, and enjoy your Memorial Day weekend, guys.
Happy Memorial Day, y'all.
Peace out.
See ya.